Hello, lovely Libras. I have got an image that is really interesting for you for this reading for the week of December 8th or when it resonates. And of course, it won't be for all Libra. Could be Sun, Moon, Rising as well. The thing is this. At first, I saw you with a mask and then taking it off and putting it over there. But you're hanging it on a wall. And then there's another one that comes up and you put that on. And of course, as you're doing this, you're in different situations. So they're showing me you wearing masks in different situations according to what's expected of you. And it's something that what they're saying is they're already preset. You've already got them there. And now it's up to you to decide at any given moment which one you're going to wear. And you've practiced this so well that it's like you don't even have to think before you grab. But what they're showing me is that was something that was more of a past experience for many of you. Now, it doesn't mean to say that we don't all have masks that we wear for different situations, the social masks, or you can look at it as a hat that we wear that dictates our personality for that event. Obviously, I'm going to be very different if I'm going to a board meeting as opposed to a date, right? So we're going to show different sides of ourselves at different points in time. For you, however, this has been something that has been sometimes tricky for you because when you take the mask off, sometimes then it leaves you feeling, well, who am I? But what they're showing me is something really quite wonderful. It's that all of these are on the wall. I can see them all there. But in the middle, there is one mask that unites them all. And it looks like a shaman mask. It looks like it's something that comes from a really primitive, a really spiritually earth-based culture that is full of ritual and magic and sacred energy. And that's what they're showing me in the middle of all these different masks. That is the you that you are now learning to tap into because you've taken off enough of the masks for long enough that you've been left with that question of, but who am I really? And what they're showing me is this mask, which is the sacred essence of you, that is the underlying energy that permeates and unites all masks, even the you that is watching you wear the masks and taking them on and off. That's just another mask, they're saying. This is important. That part of you that questions who you are, that's just another mask. Not a mask that you've deliberately put on, but a quality of energy that you've been used to living with for so long that you think that's all you are, or that's what the crux of you is. And that's not the case, Libra. You've got all of these beautiful different abilities that come with each one of these masks. It's only the feeling that you weren't sure where the core of you was that caused you to perhaps not value what those masks represented in terms of your abilities, your attitudes, your energy. Now, what the cards are showing to support that is that you can really, you're one of the signs that I really see it in the most. You can really talk yourself down a lot and not acknowledge the things that you have done, not give yourself credit for who you are, what you've done, and what you're capable of doing. And you can get caught in your head. And what Spirit is saying is, okay, so now look, Libra, look for the cognitive distortions that you have around who you are, around what any of these masks represent, around the idea of not knowing who your core is. Start leaning more into the idea that intuition is something that is a part of everybody. It's not something that is a gift to some and not to others. It's part of who you are. It's an essential part of who every human is the ability to tap into our intuition. So they're asking you to really look at the idea of learning about intuition. It's something that takes you inward towards knowing yourself more deeply, knowing that core self, being in the energy of your core self. And that is where you contact this sacred mask which unites all masks, because it's not a mask. It's a representation of the essential part of you, not just aspects of your personality, but a representation of your soul energy. Now, what they're also being, it's interesting, you've got two structure cards. So structured free flow and structure, which says to me in the context of this reading and what Spirit's been giving me is, this is where you can use your mind to create a structure for yourself in which you take time to remember the sacred essence that is there for all of us, even during the times when we're not aware of it, even when the times when we doubt it, it's still there. It never goes away. It's just that your attention has become focused off it and onto something else. So bring your focus back to the possibility that it is there, even if you don't know for sure. And then please check out cognitive distortions in your life, areas where you're saying things to yourself that don't really represent the facts of any given case. So, hello, Lulu. It's the idea, of course, again, the example I usually give is, I've got nothing to wear, whereas that's not a statement of fact. I have several clothes in there. I just don't choose to wear them because they're not suitable for what I want, or they're not suiting my mood, or they've got holes in them, or whatever. So it's like, okay, instead of saying I have nothing to wear, say the fact, I don't like what I have to wear. And then that leads you to the next true statement, which is, I want to buy something new, or for now it's not in the budget, whatever it is. Bye-bye. But the other thing that I'm being drawn back to in this is, okay, so this is quite specific for some of you. As I look at the structure card, it's really talking about how sometimes we get into a position where we realize something we've created as a support for us, whether it's a relationship, a job, an exercise routine, a diet, whatever, anything that has some kind of parameters within which we function, it can become too tight for us. We can outgrow it. So notice where the structures that you are in, that you have created, have become agitating or compressing for you, because that's usually a sign that you've come up against something that needs to be expressed that is not being expressed. I've never put it that way before because I've never heard it that way before. So this might have something to do with communication for sure, but it might just be communication with yourself. The idea about the structure is, when we feel like it's too tight, instead of resisting it, instead of ignoring it, acknowledge it. The tendency can be to fear that if you address the structure of it, if you address the tightness of whatever the structure is, that it's going to go away. Instead, look at what your role was in creating that structure and see how your role can change. And can the structure adapt itself to the change that you need to make? So this is important for you. This is like, sometimes all of us, not just Libras, stay in structures because they're familiar and they're safe. But if they're agitating us, if there's a part of us that is not being expressed, if there is something in us that feels like we have to keep quiet in order not to blow things apart, then what we're really doing is we're kind of working towards, we're not working with the central mask. We're working with one of the external, one of the radiating masks that we put on in that moment, and the quiet, the subservient, the ever, accommodating. Whereas when you put on the sacred mask and you say, where is my sacred self not being honored in this structure? What was my role in creating that, and how can I create it differently? You're being really told, be really kind with yourself and be kind with anybody else who's in a structure that you've created that you now need to adjust, because they've also invested something in being in that structure with you. If this is a relationship, it doesn't mean to say it can't change. Sometimes that's exactly what it needs, is that now the constriction is identified, and very often when one person changes the energetic dance and it's done quiet, kindly, and honestly, the other person is set free too, so they can expand. And ideally in relationship, this to me would be the ideal relationship, is that you're both expanding together, that one changing and growing doesn't intimidate the other to the point of them shutting off or trying to control, but that it allows them to also grow and expand in their dance and deepen the relationship that's going on. So if anybody is in this situation with a relationship, this is really what you're being asked to look at. But they're also saying to me this can happen within your own psyche. This can happen within your own consciousness. You can be the one to identify how you are operating in the world around you, what masks you're using, and use the idea of the structure to be able to look at where that fits into how you've been running and living your life, and what is your role in that, and how can it change, and how can you expand this structure, the structure being the way you're operating in the world with yourself and your emotions. How can you expand that structure in a way that feels safe? Can you turn anxiety into excitement? Can you turn fear into excitement? Sometimes it's just that little switch when you go, oh, there's all that energy. Well, is it really fear? Is it really anxiety? Or is it excitement? Can it be the possibility of a prospect of something new? The foundation for this is this beautiful sacred mask that's in the center of all the other masks. It has fed all of them in ways that were relevant and important for you. But what Spirit is saying is, focus now the central mask, the sacred you, the essence of you, and trust that all of these other masks have given you the opportunity to grow and learn in different ways. They've all served a purpose. You may wear them again, you may not, but they've all been a part of the sacred whole. So be kind with yourself as you're identifying these things and lean into the sacred mask. Okay? I'm going to leave you with that, my dear Libras. Take care.